welcome back to Food Prep Guide. Today we have a small harvest of okra to put up and preserve, and my family will only eat okra fried. So I wanted to show you how I prepare my okra for frying and then put it in the freezer for several months of storage. If at all possible, I like to preserve my foods to where they can come out of the freezer or come off the shelf ready to go into the pot or pan and not have to have much prep. So instead of just slicing the okra and storing it that way, I'm going to go ahead and soak it in our buttermilk, bread it in our flour, and get it ready for just popping into the pan. Now, we like to soak our vegetables that are going to be fried in like a buttermilk mixture, but we don't actually purchase buttermilk. We don't store buttermilk. So I want to show you a little hack of how we can do a very quick and tasty buttermilk alternative with just regular milk. And all we need is regular milk and some vinegar. So I'm just estimating here about how much okra I have. I'm going to do about a pint. Here we go. I'm going to do about a pint of our milk mixture. And let's see, and for every cup of milk, I'm going to add a tablespoon of vinegar. So since this is 2 cups of milk, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of vinegar. I need to grab a lid real quick. Next, we're just going to put a lid on and give it a good shake. Now I'm just going to set it aside, and it's going to sit there while I start to prep all the okra. We need it to sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. 10 minutes is ideal, and I'm guessing that's about how long it'll take me to chop all this okra up anyway. And what that's going to do, that vinegar is going to slowly start curdling the milk, but not curdling in like a nasty sour type taste, but just getting that buttermilk type flavor. And this is what I use for my buttermilk biscuits, and you can't tell at all that it wasn't actual buttermilk in them. This is a fantastic little hack. Okay, let's get this set up. I've got this bowl here for my buttermilk mixture, and let's go ahead and get our flour mixture prepared. I'm trying to think how to set this up. I'll just do it this way. So for this part, I don't measure a whole lot. It's really not, it doesn't have to be exactly precise, but I have, I'm just going to eyeball how much okra I have, and I'm going to do maybe 2 cups of flour. That's about 2 cups. And the 2 key ingredients for frying flour mixture is baking powder and arrowroot powder. If you don't have arrowroot powder, you can use cornstarch. We just prefer to use arrowroot powder instead of cornstarch. And approximately for every cup of flour, you're going to want to do 1 teaspoon of baking powder. This is going to help it kind of fluff up kind of nice, like the breading on the vegetable. So I've got about 2 cups, probably have more than that, so I'm going to do 2 heaping teaspoons of baking powder, not baking soda. And then for every cup of flour-ish, I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of arrowroot powder or cornstarch if you prefer. I'm going to do 2 heapings, so I've got a little bit more than 2 cups of flour in here. And that's the base mixture for the way that we do our flour for frying. If you, at this point, it's just seasoning. Salt, pepper, we always do garlic powder and onion powder. So I'm going to just sprinkle in those 2 things, some salt, some pepper. I'm just eyeballing these measurements. It doesn't need to be precise at all. Just whatever your taste buds, whatever your family prefers. A little bit of garlic. And a generous sprinkling of onion powder. This is the frying mixture recipe that we use for our squash, zucchini, and okra. get a whisk. Just gonna whisk it all together. And that, I think I forgot to mention what the purpose of the arrowroot flour or the cornstarch is, and that's gonna get our breading nice and crispy. It's gonna help prevent, if you've ever done any pan frying and you had soggy breading around your vegetables or whatever you were frying, the arrowroot powder helps solve that issue, and it stays nice and crispy. Okay. At this point, I'm just going to begin trimming off my okra. I'm just going to trim off the heads right there. And just in case you don't know, okra can grow too large, and when that happens, it gets what we call woody, and it doesn't taste good. It's very stringy, it's very hard, and it's just not desirable. So I'm going to have a little bag here, just kind of done up on the knobs of my cabinet here, and we'll recycle those into eggs, meaning we'll feed them to our chickens. And we will only bread up and freeze our good ones. Okay, chopping. And I can tell as soon as I cut into it. So I just tried to cut into this, and my knife is not slicing through easily. It's really tough. I can't break it very good. I mean, it breaks, but it's very tough, and this is what's considered woody. So this one got too large. So I'm just gonna plop that in my bag for the chickens. Keep going. Once I'm done chopping into little slices, I'm just going to throw them into my bowl that will soon have the buttermilk mixture in it. It has been about 5 to 10 minutes since we've mixed up our little buttermilk mixture. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this into the bowl that I'm adding my okra to. Let that okra be soaking in this mixture while I'm cutting up all the rest. I have all that okra cut up, and I've kind of cleaned up a little bit, washed my hands. So now I'm going to get in here and kind of massage that okra into the buttermilk for a little bit. Just make sure everything is good and coated on all sides. When you add that vinegar to the milk, it really turns it into a thicker type consistency like buttermilk. It's pretty amazing. Now I'm just going to start transferring the okra into our bowl of flour mixture. Now I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to massage the okra into the flour mixture for a few minutes. Make sure everything is nice and thickly coated. The next step is to flash freeze our okra. So I'm going to be using my just really big slotted spoon here to kind of shake the excess flour mixture off. And just in case you haven't heard the term flash freeze before, it just means setting it out on a pan to freeze in open air, so not in a container, and to where things are not touching each other or stacked on top of each other. And then once it is frozen individually like that, it is safe to go into a bag altogether and it won't clump up together. You can very easily remove just as much as you want from the bag without pulling up a big chunk of it, a big frozen chunk. Make sure my pan's not getting too crowded here. See if I need to get another one. I only have 1 or 2 scoops left, so I think I'm good. When we flash freeze like this, even if they are touching a little bit, they're easy to break apart. So I'm not too concerned about them touching a little bit. I just don't want them overlapping or being stacked on top of each other. Don't want any stacked on top. Okay. I'm just rearranging to try to get a nice even layer where they're not stacked on top of each other. Okay, and this will go straight into my freezer. This will probably take about 3 to 4 hours to get to a nice frozen state. And at that point, I will just slide the okra straight into my growing bag of okra for frying. This is my favorite way to preserve okra because we don't like pickled okra, but also because typically with preserving harvest from our garden, we are saving it until we have a large amount so that we can do like a big canning spree on the weekends. And it's kind of something that requires some planning and is a little fast paced. But with okra, it can just come in slowly and I can just chop up little batches at a time, put them in the freezer a little bit at a time. And usually by the end of the season, I will have 3 or 4 of these big bags of okra that is ready to go straight into the fryer or air fryer. One point to note is that you don't thaw it first. This is true for squash, okra, or zucchini that is done up this way. You can literally just take a handful out of the bag and throw it straight into your air fryer or straight into a pot of oil ready to fry. Because if you thaw it out first, it will get mushy and the okra will get a little bit slimy. But the squash and zucchini especially will just get completely mushy and it'll be very hard to achieve that crispy fried exterior that we all want. So don't thaw it first. This is ready to go straight into the fryer or air fryer. Okay, y'all, I hope y'all enjoy, and we will see you next time. Bye.